So here we go, the first layout update from the new train room, the beginning of Fairview Mark II. Stick around. Hi everybody and welcome back to the train room. And yes, to the very first layout update featuring the first steps in the resurrection of my model railroad, Fairview Mark II. First of all, apologies that I am filming this on my phone, which means that video quality and especially sound quality might be a little bit sketchy, but I'm just not getting round to sorting things out with my camera gear while things are sort of in development. And a few of you have now been kind enough to ask how I'm getting on, what kind of progress I've made. So I thought it was perhaps better to shoot a quick video here with my camera on the phone rather than any more technical high quality stuff, just to give you an update. As you can probably see, things are a bit of a mess. And I know you'll excuse me for that fact, because the room has only been completed for 3 weeks now. And the main priority, looking over here at things like these old modules just piled up at the moment, really the main priority was just to get everything into this room. That's a little bit counterproductive, of course, because it means I spend a fair amount of my time moving things around to give me access to various parts of the room now as I start to get things straight. But, you know, kind of the deal with the household authorities was that straight away all of my modelling stuff would come back into this room to make the rest of the house a bit more tidy. So that's fair enough. What is quite nice about this arrangement though is that I'm currently just sort of putting existing modules onto the slotter track that you can see there on the walls. I think this will be my main form of support for the layout. Not quite 100% convinced yet, but I'm fairly certain this is what I'm going to use. And so I'm able to start putting some of these older modules onto the racks, both to display them, of course, but also just to start to get a sense of the spacing between decks, what's going to be sort of viable in terms of reaching in, thinking about lighting and so on. But as I say, it's just quite nice to have things out on display as well. What I don't have yet is any permanent track work set up to let me run trains in any meaningful way. But as you can see here, I have started to lay out the benchwork and some experimental track layouts for what is going to be the lower staging. You might remember that on Fairview Mark I, I retrofitted the staging and that was disastrous. So I was adamant that this time I would really carefully plan the staging and build it in from the very beginning. And as you can see, I'm sort of doing lots of experimenting. I find planning on AnyRail, which is the software I'm using, that's all well and good. You kind of set up a track layout and you think, yeah, that'll be fine. And then you begin to set things up down here in the real world. And, you know, for sake of argument, you've set things up with curves which are just too tight, and straight away longer box cars and auto racks and things just derail all the time. But what I think I have now settled on is this arrangement using code 83 number 5 turnouts for the most part. Originally I was going to use code 100. Code 100 track, but the problem with that was that the turnouts, the radius was still quite broad and I couldn't fit the track work in. So you can see here that I'm trying to do a variation of what people call the pinwheel yard ladder arrangement, where successive tracks kind of peel off as you go around the ladder, which would then give me potentially, again, this has got to now be mapped onto the real world, but potentially gives me 6 storage tracks and 2 or maybe even 3 tracks, which in due course will in fact give me a continuous run on this lower deck. If I just pull back slightly again, you can see that the idea is that the yard will come round this curve in this little alcove, cross that first door. The issue of dealing with doors is something I'm going to have to really think hard about in due course. Then runs on that far wall. I've got to think as well about access to an electrical panel there, top right, and the gas boiler on the left in shot. Come round to, I think, a helix, another decision I've got to make yet. But any ideas I had originally of a no-helix arrangement, I just don't think are going to work. So probably a helix in that corner. But behind that helix, this is the plan for this, the rest of this year at least, behind that helix would be a very narrow track that would then cross that door, run, you can just see it coming out from behind that bookcase there, run along the wall, and potentially in some shape or form at least come back into the yard here. So that's it for now. I mean, on the one hand, I'm really pleased at what I've achieved in these last few weeks. Moving things around, you can see one thing I didn't mention just now, I'm even trying to kind of work in some kind of little table area. At the moment, it's more about thinking about possibilities, or perhaps an even more positive spin on it would be exploring the potential of the new room. How I incorporate the lower level with the staging here, then up onto a main deck where the town of Fairview itself will sit, and maybe at least a half of a third deck to take me right up into the mountains. All of that is far in the future. For now, at least, I've just got to settle on and fit the track work for the lower staging yard, Grant Junction, as I'm calling it, and get some trains running around the room over the next couple of months. So nothing else to share with you for the moment, but I hope you are as excited as I am about some of the plans and how they're going to come into fruition in the next couple of months. I'm going to try to get back into the habit of doing updates every month, at least. So stay tuned, and hopefully there'll be more to share with you in just a few weeks' time. That's everything for now. Take care and hope to see you soon.